like we just had the fastest solar eclipse I've ever seen. It got real dim in here and then light again. It was almost as if some massive object blocked out all the light from it.
I'd like to search for more evidence.
Ron, wait a minute. Did you see that?
Well, Maria, I'd like us to go down to the river and have you show us exactly where you saw the creature.
It got real dim in here and then light again.
I'd like to search for more evidence.
I don't think I've ever been so scared in all my life.
More evidence.
Ron, wait a minute. Did you see that?
Oh, it was absolutely terrifying.
Some massive object. The fastest solar eclipse I've ever seen.
More evidence.
Absolutely terrifying.
Well, that's the last of the glass, Mrs. Davenport. The plywood will serve as a temporary covering till we can get a new window for you. We won't be able to see out that direction for a couple of days, but we'll get it fixed as soon as we can.
Oh, thank you so much. You've been a big help to me. I don't know what I would have done without you.
Oh, you probably would have been eating dust and swatting flies, that's all.
Well, I appreciate all your hard work. In fact, everyone has been such a huge help this morning.
Well, after we heard what happened yesterday, seems like the only proper and fitting thing to do, what with being neighbors and all. How'd you sleep last night?
Oh, are you kidding me? I tell you, if sleep was my work, I wouldn't have earned more than a dime last night. I had a horrible nightmare.
Yeah, I don't have to guess what that must have been about. Anybody who has happened to them what happened to you ain't gonna sleep too good for a while.
It definitely wasn't easy, that's for sure.
Well, if there's anything else you need, don't hesitate to call me now, you hear? I'm not here just to take up space or breathe the air. I'm here to help in any way I can.
Well, you've done plenty already, Darryl, and thank you very much.
It is my pleasure. I still can't believe this all happened to you. A Bigfoot? Man. I mean, I saw one too back in '85 from a few yards away, but that's nothing compared to having one come barging in your living room. That's just unreal. One of them big old hairy things coming all the way up here to the house, come crashing through your window. You know, that just makes me wonder if he was after something. You know, I've heard stories about them things coming close to people's houses and even looking in their windows. But for one of them things to do what this one did, now that's taking it to a whole new level. Well, I better go. Like I said, if you need anything at all, you just call me.
Thank you, Darryl. I'll be sure to do that.
Okay, I'll be seeing you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, it looks like you got another visitor.
Good morning, Darryl. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing just fine, Professor. And how's everything with you and the team at the lab?
Oh, we're always learning something new. The creature keeps us on our toes, that's for sure. You know, Darryl, if you'd consider it, it sure would be nice if you could come down to the lab one day. What with your experience and background, you'd be a real welcomed addition to the team we have.
Now, just hold on there, Professor. I done heard stories about what happens to people who get too involved with tracking the Sasquatch. They start following leads and finding clues and talking to witnesses and such as that. And before you know it, they're all wearing cement shoes. Sorry, Professor, but I like living.
But, Darryl, if you would just...
Professor, I said no. I don't mean no disrespect to your elderness, but working for you is dangerous. And I got me a wife and kids to think about. Thanks, but no thanks. I gotta be going now.
Excuse me, but who are you?
Mrs. Davenport, I'm Professor Jonathan Dalton. I run the Bigfoot Research Lab about 5 miles up the road. I'm the one who sent the 2 men to you yesterday.
Oh, yes, hello.
Well, I wanted to stop by and see how you were doing. After I heard about what happened yesterday, I thought I'd better come over and see you. This is the very first time we've ever had this kind of encounter with actual break-in. I've been studying the Bigfoot species for many, many years now, and I've never seen anything like this. I've heard of them looking in windows, tearing apart campsites, and even rolling over the occasional small car or two, but never anything like this. So because of the severity of this situation, Mrs. Davenport, it's my strong suggestion that you find a safer place to stay, at least temporarily.
But why would I have to leave?
Well, the Bigfoot species doesn't invade or attack like this unless there's something they want. Now, in the case of a campsite out in the wilderness, we're on their turf. So they'll throw rocks or make noises to try and intimidate us off their land. But in your case, this creature came to you, on your land. And the only reason they would ever do that is if there was something in here they wanted. Now, it's one thing for one of them to peek in a window and be curious. I've heard of that happening a few times before. But if one of them will go as far as smash in a huge window and stick its head inside like this one did, then it obviously has good reason to do so. Now, can you recall anything you might have been doing at the time of the incident?
Well, your two men arrived shortly before 4 in the afternoon. As soon as they got here, I asked them if they wanted anything to drink, and they both asked for water.
Fine, thank you.
So I went to the kitchen and got a water pitcher from the refrigerator, and I remember I turned around to check the temperature on the oven. And that's when I turned it down because I didn't want my fish to burn. Oh, no.
That's it. That's all it takes.
Do you really think that's it? Do you really think he went after the fish?
Guaranteed. And besides, what else could it be? They have very keen sniffers, and fish is one of their favorites.
Oh, do I feel stupid now?
Oh, no. No need to feel stupid, Maria. You couldn't help it. You couldn't have known. Especially with no history of this kind of thing happening before around here. Don't kick yourself for this. But I do still recommend you stay in a safer place for a while. I can arrange for a motel room for you until all this is settled.
But I don't have any...
It's on the house. An all-expense paid vacation with meals and all the accommodations. No charge to you.
Oh, Professor, that's wonderful. How can I ever thank you?
Well, first of all, you can start by sharing some of this great-smelling fish you were talking about. I haven't eaten all morning, and I'm starved.
It looks like the Davenport residence is definitely the center of attention. There are some who can't wait to find the next piece of Sasquatch evidence, while there are others who want no part of it. And then there are those who want to stop it all for their own selfish motives. Join us now for Sasquatch Part 6, The Aftermath.
Hey, it's me. The job's completed. Yeah, it was too easy. The professor guy was so busy talking, he didn't even notice he left the door open. Yeah, after he was gone, all I had to do was walk right in and do the job. Yeah, everything's in its place. Boy, are they gonna be surprised. What do you mean, did I leave any evidence? What do you think I am, a rookie? I know what I'm doing here. Believe me, the boss is gonna be very pleased. So relax, man. We got nothing to worry about. Trust me, everything's under control.
So she packed some things for a few days, and I took her to a motel where she can be safe and comfortable and not have to worry about the media or anything else going on around her place. Anyone who's been through that kind of an experience needs a break where they can rest up and just get away from everything and spend some time getting their head on straight again.
Well, hey, that's great, Professor. I'm glad to hear she'll be safe and sound for a few days while her house is being repaired. I know if I ever had something like that happen to me, I'd be pretty shook up from it.
Well, I know when I had my first sighting from about 100 yards away, it made me shake in my boots, that's for bloody sure. I can't even comprehend what it would be like to have one come busting through my living room window. Talk about traumatic.
Yeah, that kind of thing is bound to rattle anybody's cage quite severely. But before I took her to the motel, she told me something that absolutely 100% answers the question, out of all the houses in that area, why did the Sasquatch pick hers?
Really? What'd she say?
Well, she said she'd been cooking some fish that afternoon.
Cooking fish? Is that what attracted it?
Exactly. She'd caught some fish down at the river a couple of nights prior to her first sighting. They were baking in the oven when the break-in occurred. The smell drifted out of the house, got caught in the wind, and carried out into the forest where the Sasquatch picked it up and followed it.
Oh, you've got to be kidding.
Ah, Professor is right, Jerry. The hairy ones can smell as the great bear smells, from miles away. They will find the source if they choose to. It is said in days of long ago, nets and drying poles were stripped of their fish and berry baskets emptied at my people's camps. Every once in a while, stories from returning hunters say this has happened to them.
Wow. Unbelievable.
So let me get this straight. This hungry Sasquatch came down the mountain from who knows how far away, out of the trees, crossed the road, went through her yard, up onto the porch, and busted through her living room window just for the halibut?
Oh, please tell me he didn't just say that.
He did.
Well, no sense floundering around here any longer. I've got places to go.
Yeah, me too. Holy mackerel, look at the time.
Yeah, Charlie, you better get a move on. After all, you don't want to be late for work now, do you?
He did it again. I could not believe he just did it again. How in the world does he do it?
Don't try and figure it out, Charlie. You'll just hurt yourself. Just go.
I sense something very fishy about the white man's humor. It is very entertaining also.
Yellow Bear, one of the things you're going to learn very quickly about us here is even as seriously as we take our work with the research and everything that goes with it, we still love a good laugh. So we have a tendency to lean a little toward the humorous side of life. It's a great stress reliever.
Stikyahona thinks you speak good words. As soap is to the body, laughter is to the soul.
Come in.
Professor, I have something here you need to see. I have been looking at the blood sample you bring in. I think you will be very interested in what I have discovered.
What do you have there, Francois?
This is a printout of one of the samples as seen under the microscope. Take a look at this.
Let's see what we got here. Let's see, we got What in tarnation is that? The cells are like nothing I've ever seen before. And the DNA structures are like completely out of left field. A typical human DNA structure doesn't even come close to what this is. It's no wonder they can do what they do. Francois, I think you finally hit the jackpot. This is exactly what we've been looking for. This is the kind of undisputable evidence that no one can argue with. When the time is right, we'll show this to the whole world, and no one will be able to deny that Sasquatch is real.
Wow. Well, when will that be?
Well, not for a while yet. We still have a lot of work to do before we can parade this thing down Main Street. The first thing we need to do is make copies of this and send them off to a couple of other research labs I know of. I got some contacts with a couple of high-ranking people in the science community. I'd like both of them to have a chance to see this so they can either confirm or deny what this thing is telling us. You never want to go out on a limb based on just one opinion, you know. Francois, take this picture down to the photo lab and have them run off a couple of copies. Then I want both of them mailed. I have the addresses, and time is of the essence. So I want them overnighted to each location with the words top priority stamped on them. Don't spare the expense, and nobody breathes the word of this until I say so. In the meantime, it's business as usual. Understand? Science Lab, Jonathan speaking.
Hello, Professor. This is Jennifer Sims from KRQR News.
Yes, Jennifer.
I'm calling about the Davenport encounter yesterday, and I was wondering if your people came up with any substantial evidence last night.
Well, nothing out of the ordinary as yet. That is, if you can call a busted living room window ordinary. But as far as other physical evidence, we found some footprints leading up to the porch as well as around the backside of the house after the creature ran off. Nothing much other than that, though.
Professor, have you discovered any indication yet as to why the creature attacked the way it did?
Well, as far as motive is concerned, I'd rather not say right now.
So you do know something and just refuse to release it?
Yeah, that's about the size of it.
Well, okay, but I'll be back. I don't give up that easy.
Well, that's what I respect about you, Jennifer. You're a go-getter. But I'm just not quite ready yet to divulge the information.
Well, that's very nice of you to say, Professor. Sorry to say most people don't see it that way. Most people I talk to see me as a nuisance, knocking down their door just to get a story. But when I smell something cooking, I head straight for the kitchen, if you get my meaning.
Yeah, and so does the Sasquatch, if you get my meaning.
I see. I'll be sure to keep that comment off the record, Professor.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'd appreciate that.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm sure Maria Davenport would too. Well, thank you for your help, Professor. I'll be back in touch.
Thank you, Jennifer. Goodbye.
Wait a minute. Did you just tell her without actually telling her?
Jerry, I trust Jennifer. She's a whole different breed of reporter. She's one of the few who's honest and decent and doesn't overstep her bounds without good reason. She knows when to jump and when not to. So I know she'll hold on to what I've told her without telling every Jack, Jim, and Jane from here to Timbuktu. Besides, there's a lot of people who live along that river, and a lot of them go fishing there. So if Jennifer did let the cat, or catfish in this case, out of the bag, no one within 20 miles of the Davenport property would ever be able to cook fish without risking an unwanted dinner guest showing up. She's wiser and more insightful than all the rest in her profession. I could tell by how she was talking that she already knew, so I figured there wasn't any harm in telling her, in sort of a left-handed way.
Well, she's a rare one. Most reporters wouldn't care, and they just run right over the top of your wishes just to get a story on the air. I'm glad to hear she's different.
Yeah, she is. So we don't have a thing to worry about. Cells are like nothing I've ever seen before. And the DNA structures are like completely out of left field. A typical human DNA structure doesn't even come close to what this is. It's no wonder they can do what they do. Francois, I think you finally hit the jackpot. This is exactly what we've been looking for. This is the kind of undisputable evidence that no one can argue with. When the time is right, we'll show this to the whole world, and no one will be able to deny that Sasquatch is real.
Wow. Well, when will that be?
Well, not for a while yet. We still have a lot of work to do before we can parade this thing down Main Street. The first thing we need to do is make copies of this and send them off to a couple of other research labs I know of. I got some contacts with a couple of high-ranking people in the science community. I'd like both of them to have a chance to see this so they can either confirm or deny what this thing is telling us. You never want to go out on a limb based on just one opinion, you know. Francois, take this picture down to the photo lab and have them run off a couple of copies. Then I want both of them mailed. I have the addresses, and time is of the essence. So I want them overnighted to each location with the words top priority stamped on them. Don't spare the expense, and nobody breathes the word of this until I say so. In the meantime, it's business as usual. Understand?
That's right, Professor. Just business as usual. And let's just keep it that way, shall we? Because your precious pictures aren't going anywhere. Have a good day, Professor.